What do you do when 13 men throw you off a 4-story building? Most people die. Some people survive and run. Bumpy Johnson survived, and in exactly 2 hours, he erased 49 men from existence. 5 locations. 4 minutes of gunfire. 0 survivors. This is the story of the most brutal retaliation in organized crime history. Saturday, October 4th, 1952. 8:47 p.m. The rooftop of 2289 7th Avenue at West 134th Street, Harlem, New York. Temperature 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Clear sky, nearly full moon. 4 stories up, 48 feet from rooftop to sidewalk concrete. Bumpy Johnson stood at the center of the roof. Surrounded. 13 men formed a semicircle around him. All white, all armed. Baseball bats, crowbars, tire irons, weapons for close combat, not guns. Guns would be too quick, too merciful. This was about sending a message through pain and humiliation. The gang called themselves the West Side Boys, operating out of Hell's Kitchen. Irish and Italian mix, led by Patrick "Red" Malone. 34 years old, 6 feet tall, 195 pounds. Red hair, hence the nickname. Violent reputation. The West Side Boys controlled several blocks in Hell's Kitchen. Protection rackets, loan sharking, gambling, territory disputes with other gangs were common, but Harlem was not their territory. Harlem belonged to Bumpy Johnson. Everyone knew this. The West Side Boys knew this. They came anyway. The confrontation had started 3 weeks earlier, September 13th, 1952. A numbers runner named Tommy DeLuca had been working for Bumpy in the borderland between Hell's Kitchen and Harlem. West 57th to West 60th Street, mixed neighborhood, both organizations claimed it. Tommy collected numbers, paid Bumpy's percentage, operated peacefully for 6 months. Then the West Side Boys decided they wanted that territory exclusively. Red Malone sent 2 men to Tommy, told him to stop working for Bumpy, start working for them, or stop working permanently. Tommy reported this to Bumpy. Standard territorial dispute. Bumpy sent Marcus Webb with a message. The borderland was open territory. Tommy worked for Bumpy. The West Side Boys could operate their own runners, but they couldn't force Bumpy's runners out. Fair arrangement. Neutral. Professional. Red Malone rejected it. Sent his own message. Tommy DeLuca was found in an alley on September 17th. Beaten severely. Both arms, broken face, unrecognizable. Message delivered. Message received. Bumpy's response was measured. He sent 3 men to Hell's Kitchen, September 19th. They found 2 West Side Boys collecting protection money from a bar on 10th Avenue. The 2 men were hospitalized. Similar injuries to Tommy. Arms broken, faces damaged, equal response. Proportional. Professional. The conflict should have ended there. Mutual damaje, mutual respect, move forward. But Red Malone didn't see it that way. He saw it as escalation, as disrespect, as Bumpy Johnson Black man daring to strike white men on their own territory. Red Malone decided to end the conflict permanently. Not through negotiation, not through mutual understanding. Through elimination. Remove Bumpy Johnson, Harlem would fragment. Easier to take over piece by piece without leadership. The plan was simple. Lure Bumpy to a meeting. Neutral territory. Discuss peace. Then ambush him. Kill him. Dump the body. Claim ignorance. Let Harlem dissolve into chaos. The meeting was arranged for Saturday, October 4th, 8:30 p.m. Location, 2289 7th Avenue. 4-story building. Ground floor, vacant storefront. 2nd and 3rd floors, residential apartments. 4th floor, storage. Rooftop access via fire escape. The building was owned by a man who owed Red Malone money. Significant debt. The owner provided keys. Provided access. Provided the location for murder. Bumpy arrived at 8:35 p.m. 5 minutes late. Deliberate. Never arrive exactly on time. Maintain control of timing. He came alone, as requested. Neutral meeting meant minimal security. Professional courtesy. He climbed the fire escape, standard practice. Front entrance to visible, fire escape more discreet. He reached the rooftop at 8:42 p.m. Red Malone was there with 12 other men. 13 total, all armed. Bumpy understood immediately. This wasn't a meeting. This was an execution. Bumpy Johnson. Glad you could make it. We have some things to discuss. About about my men in Hell's Kitchen, about respect. Red Malone's tone was casual, conversational, the tone of someone in complete control. Someone about to win. Bumpy assessed the situation. 13 men, armed, surrounding him. Rooftop, 4 stories up, 1 fire escape exit, blocked by men. No other escape. Fighting wasn't viable. 13 versus 1. Even Bumpy couldn't win those odds. Talking might buy time, but time for what? Nobody knew he was here. Marcus Webb knew about the meeting, but Bumpy was supposed to call after. If he didn't call, Marcus would assume the meeting ran long. War will wait. Hours might pass before anyone realized something was wrong. Respect. Interesting word coming from someone who ambushes instead of negotiates. Bumpy's voice was calm. No fear. Fear accomplished nothing. If death was coming, meet it with dignity. Negotiation is 4 equals. You're not my equal. You're a Negro running numbers in Harlem. I'm expending my territory. Your territory. Simple economics. You're in the way. I'm removing the obstacle. Red pulled a pistol from his jacket, not for shooting, for intimidation, for impasse. The 12 other men moved closer, tightening the circle. Bumpy noticed details. 3 men on his left had bats. 2 on his right had crowbars. 1 behind him had a tire iron. 6 others had various weapons, all positioned to prevent escape. Professional setup. Well planned. Red Malone had done this before. Maybe not to someone like Bumpy, but he'd executed ambushes, knew how to corner prey, how to eliminate threats. Here's what happens next. Bumpy. My boys are going to demonstrate what happens when you disrespect the West Side boys. They're going to break some bones. Damage that face. Make you an example. Then we're going to throw you off this roof. 4 stories. 48 feet concrete below. You might survive the fall. Probably won't. Either way, you're finished. Can't run Harlem from a hospital bed. Can't run anything with a broken spine. Red was enjoying this. The explanation? The anticipation? De power. Bumpy calculated fighting would result in a beating followed by being thrown off the roof. Not fighting would result in a beating followed by being thrown off the roof. Same outcome, different timeline. The beating would take minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15. Pain before death or before crippling injury. Was there value in prolonging the inevitable? No. Better to force their hand, speed up the process. Reduce suffering. Make them do it now rather than torture first. So do it. You've got 30 men and all this planning. Either beat me first or throw me now. Stop talking about it. Bumpy moved toward the edge of the roof, not away from the gang, toward the ledge. Taking control of the sequence, forcing a decision. Red Malone was surprised. Expected begging, expected negotiation attempts, expected fear-good defiance instead. Got agency. Bumpy was choosing how this happened, not completely, but partially. Enough to disrupt Red's script, enough to make Red react instead of control. Fine. You want it quick? You get it quick. Boys, throw him off now. Red nodded to the men nearest Bumpy. 4 men moved simultaneously, grabbed Bumpy's arms, his jacket, his belt. Physical control. They dragged him to the roof edge. The ledge was 18 inches high. Brick, solid. Below was 7th Avenue. Sidewalk. Some pedestrians visible, not many. Saturday evening. Some people heading to restaurants, to clubs. Normal Harlem night about to be disrupted. Bumpy Johnson didn't resist. Resistance was futile. 4 men holding him. 9 others watching. Resistance would just trigger the beating first, then the throw. Better to go over conscious than unconscious. Better to control the fall if possible. Land properly, maximize survival chances. 48 feet was survivable. Not likely, but possible if you landed right. If you got lucky, if God was paying attention. They lifted him, swung him, used momentum, threw him off the building. Saturday, October 4th, 8:47 p.m. Bumpy Johnson left the rooftop of 2289 7th Avenue at approximately 15 miles per hour horizontal velocity. Gravity took over. Acceleration, 32 feet per second squared. The fall took approximately 1.7 seconds. Speed at impact, approximately 35 miles per hour. Force equivalent to a car crash. Survivability, minimal but not zero. Bumpy had 1.7 seconds of awareness. Training took over. Fall training. Every professional criminal learned this. How to fall. How to minimize injury. Protect the head. Protect the spine. Tuck. Roll if possible. Distribute impact. He couldn't control trajectory, but he could control body position. He tucked, pulled arms in, turned slightly. Tried to angle foreleg impact first. Not head. Not spine. Legs could break, could be repaired. Head or spine injury was permanent. He hit the sidewalk at 8 hours 47 minutes and 2 seconds p.m. 2 seconds after leaving the roof, left leg first, 10 left hip, then left shoulder, then rolled. Distributed the impact across multiple points instead of one catastrophic point. Physics worked in his favor. Mostly. The left femur fractured. Clean break. The hip dislocated. Painful, but repairable. The shoulder separated. Also repairable. The head remained protected. No skull fracture. No brain trauma. The spine remained intact. No paralysis. No severing. Pain was immediate. Overwhelming. Total, but Bumpy was conscious. Alive. Functional. Unlikely, but true. Pedestrians screamed. Ran toward him. Ran away from him. Confusion. A man had just fallen from a building. Or jumped. Or been thrown. Unclear, but definitely catastrophic. Someone ran to a payphone. Cajet Police called ambulance standard response. Man down. Need help. 911. Emergency. On the rooftop, Red Malone and his gang looked over the edge. Saw Bumpy on the sidewalk. Not moving much. Probably dead. Maybe dying. Mission accomplished. They left quickly. Down the fire escape. Into waiting cars. Drove away. Back to Hell's Kitchen. Celebrate Bumpy Johnson. Eliminated Harlem. Available. Expand territory. Profit. On the sidewalk, Bumpy assessed damage. Left leg broken. Couldn't walk. Left hip dislocated. Couldn't stand. Left shoulder separated. Couldn't push up, but right side mostly functional. Right arm worked. Right leg worked. Could drag himself. Slowly. Painfully. But possible. He looked around. Pedestrians standing back. Scared. Uncertain. A black man had fallen from a building in Harlem in 1952. Police would come. Ambulance would come. Questions would be asked. Bumpy couldn't be here when they arrived. Being found injured meant hospital. Hospital meant police reports. Police reports meant vulnerability. His enemies would know he was incapacitated. Would know where he was. Would finish what Red Malone started. Help me. Bumpy's voice was weak. Pain made speaking difficult. But he needed help, needed to move, needed to disappear before authorities arrived. A woman approached, mid-40s, lived in the neighborhood, recognized Bumpy. Everyone in Harlem knew. Bumpy Johnson. Mr. Johnson, what happened? You need ambulance. You Need hospital. No hospital, no police. Help me to that alley. Please. I'll explain later. Just help me move now. Bumpy was already dragging himself using his right arm, pulling his body inches at a time toward the alley, between buildings. Dark, hidden. Away from the street. The woman helped, grabbed under his right arm, supported some weight. Together, they got him into the alley. 10 feet from the sidewalk to darkness. 10 feet. That took 2 minutes. Excruciating, but necessary. Hyven? Now, safe, temporarily. Police sirens approached, growing louder. Closer. Someone had called it in. Response time maybe 4 minutes. Normal for Harlem. Police were coming, would find nothing. Nobody. No victim. Just bystanders saying, "A man fell, then vanished." Unsolvable. Violent. Forget it. Bumpy gave the woman a phone number. Marcus Webb's number. Tis. Tell him I'm in the alley behind 2289 7th. Tell him Red Malone. Tell him bring everyone. Tell him bring everything. Tell him 2 hours. Can you do that? The woman nodded. Ran to the payphone, made the call, delivered the message exactly. Marcus Webb answered, heard the message, understood immediately. Bumpy was hurt. Red Malone was responsible. Everyone meant every soldier Bumpy had. Everything meant every weapon available. 2 hours meant timeline. Prepare. Organice. Execute Marcus Hungap. Started making calls. In the alley, Bumpy waited. Police arrived at the scene. Examined the sidewalk. Talked to witnesses. Got vague descriptions. Man fell. Man disappeared. Nobody saw anything clearly. Description varied. Height, weight, age, race. All inconsistent. Useless information. Police took notes, filed report, left. No body meant no crime scene. Maybe suicide attempt that walked away. Maybe accident. Maybe nothing. Harlem had bigger problems than maybe crimes. Move on. Bumpy focused on staying conscious. The pain was testing that focus. Left leg throbbed. Hip sent sharp signals. Shoulder burned. But consciousness was mandatory. Passing out meant vulnerability, meant being found, meant losing control. He controlled breathing. In through nose, out through mouth. Slow, measured, pain management through focus. Mind over body, not eliminating pain. Channeling it, using it, staying sharp, staying aware. At 9:15 p.m., Marcus Webb arrived. Brought 3 men, brought a car, pulled into the alley. Found Bumpy. Assessment was quick. You need a doctor. No doctors. No hospitals. Not yet. First, we handle Red Malone. Then, medical. How many men can you gather in 1 hour? Bumpy's voice was stronger now. Anger was fueling him. Rage was medicating better than morphine. Physical pain was real, but secondary. The primary focus was retribution. Red Malone thought throwing Bumpy off a building would eliminate the problem. Would open Harlem? Would enable expansion? Wrong. Throwing Bumpy off a building just declared war. Just started something that would end with Red Malone and his entire gang erased. Not beaten, not damaged. Erased. 30 men. Maybe 35. Depends who's available Saturday night. Some are working, some are out. But I can get 30 for sure. 35 if we wait 90 minutes instead of 60. Marcus was calculating. 30 men was significant force. Enough for an assault. Enough for a war. Used the 90 minutes. I need that time anyway. Bumpy explained what happened. Rooftop. 30 men. Red Malone. The throw. The landing. The survival. The message. Red thinks I'm dead, or hospitalized, or broken. He thinks Harlem is vulnerable? He's wrong. We're going to Hell's Kitchen. We're going to every location the West Side Boys operate. Every bar, every gambling den, every protection client, every single place they collect money or conduct business, and we're going to shoot everything. Everyone. Every person affiliated with Red Malone dies tonight. No survivors, no witnesses, no continuation. The West Side Boys end tonight. Marcus understood this was beyond standard retaliation. This was annihilation. Total. Complete. That's going to bring police. Major police response. Shooting up Hell's Kitchen. Multiple locations. That's headlines. That's federal attention. That's sending a message that you don't throw Bumpy Johnson off a building. You don't try to kill me. You don't invade Harlem. You don't survive the attempt. I don't care about police. I don't care about attention. I care about every person in New York, knowing what happens when you come after me. Red Malone gambled. He lost. He dies. His gang dies. His legacy dies. Tonight, completely. Absolutely. Bumpy's tone left no room for debate. This was happening. Marcus could participate or step aside, but it was happening. Understood. 90 minutes. 35 men. Full arsenal. I'll get Freddy to splint your leg. Basic field medicine. Enough to stabilize until after. Then real medical attention. Agreed. Marcus was already planning logistics, weapons, targets, routes, coordination. This would be the largest operation Harlem's organization had conducted in years. Possibly ever. Multiple simultaneous attacks across multiple locations. Coordinated, overwhelming, unprecedented. Freddy arrived 20 minutes later, examined Bumpy in the alley, splinted the left leg, immobilized it, popped the hip back into socket. Excruciating. Bumpy didn't scream, compressed his jaw, absorbed the pain, converted it to fuel. The shoulder was strapped, immobilized. Pain medications offered, refused. Needed clarity, needed sharpness, needed rage. Pain helped with rage. By 10:15 p.m., the organization had assembled 37 men. More than expected. Word had spread. Bumpy thrown off building by white gang from Hell's Kitchen. Everyone wanted to participate. Everyone wanted revenge. Not just for Bumpy. For the principle. For the message. For Harlem. The arsenal was comprehensive. 23 pistols, 8 revolvers, 12 shotguns, 7 Thompson submachine guns. Ammunition in quantities that suggested extended engagement. This wasn't a hit. This was an invasion. This was war. Bumpy divided the force into 5 teams, 7 men per team. 2 teams, extra for oversight and backup. Each team assigned a target. Target 1, Sullivan's Tavern on 10th Avenue and West 47th Street, West Side Boys headquarters, where they met, where they planned, where Red Malone held court. Target 2, Dempsey's GM on 9th Avenue and West 44th Street, where they trained, where they recruited, where they stored weapons. Target 3, the Lucky 7 gambling den on 11th Avenue and West 52nd Street, major revenue source, where they laundered money, where they counted profits. Target 4, Murphy's garage on 10th Avenue and West 41st Street, where they stored cars, where they maintained vehicles, where they kept stolen property. Target 5, Omali's bar on 9th Avenue and West 50th Street, secondary meeting location, where Red's lieutenants gathered, where orders were distributed. 5 teams, 5 targets. Simultaneous attacks timed for 10:45 p.m. 30 minutes to drive from Harlem to Hell's Kitchen. Position teams. Confirm targets. Coordinate timing. Attack together. Overwhelm response capacity. Create chaos. Eliminate targets. Extract. Return to Harlem. Total operation time estimated 90 minutes including travel. Bumpy couldn't walk, couldn't participate directly in the attacks, but he could command. Marcus drove him in a car, parked on 10th Avenue and West 46th Street. Central location, visibility of 3 targets. Radio communication with team leaders, Bumpy would coordinate from the car. Direct strategy, adjust tactics. Oversee execution. Make decisions. Lead despite injury, because leadership wasn't about physical presence. Leadership was about will, about determination, about demonstrating that attempts to eliminate you only make you more dangerous. At 10:44 p.m., teams were positioned. Sullivan's Tavern had 12 visible occupants. West Side Boys members, Red Malone visible through window. Dempsey's gym had 8 people. Training session in progress. The Lucky 7 had approximately 15 people. Gambling in progress. Murphy's Garage had 4 visible mechanics working on cars. Omali's Bar had approximately 10 people, drinking, socializing. Total visible targets across all 5 locations. Approximately 49 people, all affiliated with West Side Boys. All complicit in Bumpy being thrown off building. All marked for elimination. The clock showed 10 hours 44 minutes and 47 seconds p.m. 13 seconds until execution. 13 seconds until the largest coordinated attack Harlem had ever conducted. 13 seconds until Red Malone and the West Side Boys learned that throwing Bumpy Johnson off a building didn't eliminate the threat. It multiplied it. Weaponized Italiano. Unleashed Italiano at 10:45 p.m. Exactly, the shooting started. Simultaneously. 5 locations. 35 men. Overwhelming firepower. The coordination was precise. Each team leader had synchronized watches. Radio communication maintained silence until execution. The signal was simple. 10:45. Execute. No countdown. No warning. Just action. Sullivan's Tavern on 10th Avenue and West 47th Street, Team 1. 7 men, led by Raymond Lewis, 32 years old, former Army infantry. Korea veteran. Combat experienced, tactical mind. The tavern's front entrance was wood and glass. Single door. No security visible. Inside, 12 West Side Boys members. Red Malone sat at a table in the back, drinking whiskey, celebrating. Bumpy Johnson was dead. Harlem was open. Life was good. For 43 more seconds, Raymond positioned his team. 3 men at the door, 2 covering side windows, 2 covering rear exit. Standard assault pattern. Overwhelming force. Multiple entry points. Prevent escape. At 10:45, Raymond kicked the front door. The wood splintered. The glass shattered. Before the door hit the floor, Raymond was inside. Thompson machine gun raised, finger on trigger. The first burst caught Red Malone mid-drink. 3 rounds sent a mass. Whiskey glass shattered. Red fell backward. Chair collapsed. He was dead before hitting the floor. The other 11 West Side Boys reacted. Too slow, too surprised, too unprepared. Raymond's team entered like water through broken dam. Overwhelming. Unstoppable. The Thompsons fired in controlled bursts. 3-round sequences. Professional, efficient, deadly. The shotguns fired alternating, covering different angles, preventing clustering. The pistols provided backup. Finishing shots, confirmation, kills. The tavern's interior absorbed incredible violence in compressed time frame. 45 seconds from door breach to silence. 12 West Side Boys. 12 casualties. No survivors. Team 1 extracted through rear exit into waiting vehicle. Gone before first police siren sounded. Dempsey's gym on 9th Avenue and West 44th Street. Team 2. 7 men led by Thomas Bishop Louette. Years old, former Marine, Pacific Theater, Okinawa survivor, hand-to-hand combat specialist. The gym occupied ground floor of 3-story building. Large open space. Boxing ring, heavy bags, speed bags, weight equipment training, ARIA. 8 West Side boys inside. Sparring session. Teaching recruits. Building muscle. Building soldiers. Building nothing after 10:45 p.m. Thomas didn't use conventional entry. Too predictable. Instead, Molotov cocktails. 4 bottles, gasoline and cloth. Simple, effective, terrifying. At 10:45, 4 men threw cocktails through front windows. Glass shattered. Fire erupted. Gasoline spread. Flames consumed equipment instantly. The 8 men inside panicked. Fire triggered primal fear. They ran toward exit. Front door. Back door. Side door. Escape route. Except Team 2 blocked all exits. Positioned, waiting. As West Side boys emerged from burning building, they met gunfire. Concentrated, overwhelming. 8 targets. 8 casualties. Bodies left where they fell. Team 2 extracted. Fire trucks would arrive. Find bodies. Find devastation. Find no shooters. Thomas and his team were gone. The Lucky 7 gambling den on 11th Avenue and West 52nd Street. Team 3. 7 men led by James Carter, 35 years old. No military background. Street trained, Harlem educated. Numbers enforcer for 12 years. Understood violence. Understood efficiency. Understood that 15 targets required different tactics than 8 or 12. The gambling den occupied basement level. Stairs down from street entrance. Single access point. Natural bottleneck. Natural advantage for defenders. Natural disadvantage for attackers. Unless you controlled the exit first. James positioned 2 men at street entrance. Orders. Nobody leaves. 5 men descended stairs at 10 hours 44 minutes and 45 seconds. 15 seconds early. Deliberate surprise advantage worth 15 seconds. The basement was large. Poker tables, craps tables, roulette wheel, bar area. Approximately 15 West Side boys gambling, counting money, drinking, relaxing. Standard Saturday night. Last Saturday night, James and his 4 men entered shooting. No announcement, no warning, just overwhelming firepower. The basement became kill zone. 15 targets trapped, 2 men blocking only exit. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Tables provided concealment, not cover. Cards and chips scattered. Money flew. Blood spread. The shooting lasted approximately 90 seconds, longer than other locations. More targets. Tighter space, more careful confirmation. But outcome identical. 15 casualties. 0 survivors. Team 3 extracted upstairs through street entrance into vehicle. Disappeared into Hell's Kitchen night. Murphy's garage on 10th Avenue and West 41st Street. Team 4. 7 men, led by William Davis. 41 years old. Former mechanic. Legitimate business until 1947. Then partnership with Bumpy Numbers. Protection, enforcement. William knew garatas. Can IU vehicles knew weak points. The garage had 3 bay doors. All closed. Side entrance for personnel. Office area. Storage. For West Side boys, visible through windows, working on stolen cars. Changing plates. Altering VINs. Erasing identities. Criminal chop shop operation. Revenue stream about to be revenue stop. William's approach was methodical. At 10:44, 2 men cut power to building 30 seconds early. Darkness provided advantage. Confusion. Disorientation. At 10:45, team entered through side door. Night vision unnecessary. Streetlights provided enough illumination through windows. 4 targets visible, working by flashlight now. Unaware, vulnerable. The shooting was brief, precise, professional. For casualties in approximately 20 seconds, Team 4 didn't extract immediately. They had secondary objective: destroy inventory. Gasoline from garage supplies spread throughout. Ignite. Fire consumed stolen vehicles, consumed tools, consumed evidence, consumed everything. Team extracted as flames grew. Fire trucks would arrive too late. Garage would be total loss. Omali's bar on 9th Avenue and West 50th Street. Team 5. 7 men, led by Robert Miller, 33 years old. Former boxer. Light heavyweight. 15 professional fights. 12 wins. 3 losses. Retired after 3rd loss. Too much brain damage. Worked for Bumpy since 1949. Loyal, capable, violent when necessary. Tonight was necessary. Omali's was typical Hell's Kitchen bar. Working class, Irish. Neighborhood locals, but backroom was West Side Boys territory. Where lieutenants met, where strategies formed, where orders distributed. 10 men in backroom at 10:45 p.m. discussing Bumpy's death, discussing Harlem expansion, discussing future profits, discussing nothing after 10 hours, 45 minutes, and 30 seconds. Robert's team entered through front, walked through main bar area. Civilians present Ingasand Pat team ignored them. Walked past, headed to backroom. Professional, focused, mission specific. The backroom door was closed. Unlocked. Robert opened it. Stepped inside. 10 West Side Boys looked up. Surprised. Confused. Recognition dawned too late. Robert's team filled doorway. Blocked exit. Weapons raised. The shooting was concentrated. Overwhelming. 10 targets in confined space. 30 seconds of sustained fire. 10 casualties. No escape attempts. No survivors. Team exited through back door. Through alley, into vehicle. Civilians in main bar remained unharmed. Traumatized, but alive. Police would interview them, get descriptions. Get nothing useful. 7 black men. Armed, professional. That was all. Not any. The total duration of coordinated attacks across 5 locations. Approximately 4 minutes from 10:45 to 10:49 p.m. 4 minutes that eliminated the West Side Boys completely, permanently, absolutely. Red Malone, dead. His 12 at Sullivan's dead. 8 at Dempsey's dead. 15 at Lucky 7 dead. 4 at Murphy's dead. 10 at Omali's dead. Total casualties, 49. Total survivors, 0. Total time, 4 minutes. Total response from Bumpy being thrown off building to complete annihilation of attacking gang. Exactly 2 hours. The sound was audible for blocks. Dozens of blocks. Gunfire in 5 locations simultaneously. Impossible to ignore. Police precincts received calls immediately. Multiple calls. Conflicting locations. Shooting at Sullivan's. Shooting at Dempsey's. Fire at Murphy's. Shooting at Lucky 7. Shooting at Omali's. Dispatchers struggled to process 5 simultaneous incidents. Multiple casualties reported. Coordinated attack. This was beyond normal gang activity. This was warfare. First, police units arrived at Sullivan's Tavern at 10:51 p.m. 6 minutes after shooting started, 2 minutes after shooting ended, they found devastation, 12 bodies, blood everywhere. Spent casings scattered. Shattered glass. Destroyed furniture. No shooters. No witnesses willing to identify. Just carnage. Additional units arrived at other locations over the next 8 minutes. Same scene multiplied. Multiple casualties. Extensive damage. No perpetrators. Professional execution. Clean extraction. By 11 p.m., Hell's Kitchen had 30 police officers across 5 crime scenes. By 11:15 p.m., additional units arrived. Detectives, crime scene investigators, supervisors, captains, deputy commissioners. This was unprecedented. 5 coordinated attacks. 49 homicides. Single evening. Single operation. 4 minutes of shooting. This would make headlines. This would bring federal attention. This would change everything. Bumpy Johnson watched from his car on 10th Avenue. Pain from injuries remained intense, but satisfaction overshadowed pain. The operation had executed perfectly. All 5 teams reported success. All targets eliminated. All team members extracted safely. 0 casualties on Bumpy's side. 49 casualties on Red Malone's side. Mathematical perfection. Proportional response. Red Malone threw Bumpy off building. Bumpy eliminated Red Malone's entire organization. Equal, balanced, final. Marcus Webb drove Bumpy back to Harlem, away from Hell's Kitchen, away from crime scenes, away from police response. The drive took 20 minutes. Normal traffic, normal speed, nothing suspicious. Just another car on Saturday night. Inside the car, Bumpy finally allowed himself to feel the full extent of his injuries. Adrenaline was fading. Pain was increasing. The leg throbbed continuously. The hip sent sharp signals with every bump. The shoulder burned with every movement. Medical attention was now priority. They arrived at Freddie's clinic at 11:47 p.m. Freddie had prepared clean room, surgical equipment, X-ray machine, pain medications, everything necessary for serious trauma care. Examination took 30 minutes. X-rays confirmed clean femur fracture, no bone fragments, no complications. Cast would immobilize. Healing time 6 to 8 weeks for bone fusion, 3 months for full weight bearing. The hip dislocation had been reset correctly in the field. No additional damage. Would heal with rest. The shoulder separation required immobilization. Sling and brace, 4 to 6 weeks for healing. Pain medications provided antibiotics for infection prevention. Follow-up appointments scheduled. Bumpy was transported to secure location, not his primary residence. Not any known address. Safe house in the Bronx. Purchased under false name. Unknown to enemies. Unknown to police. Protected. Secure. He would recover there. Marcus assigned rotating security. 4 men per shift. 3 shifts per day. 12 men total rotation. Armed, alert, protective. Nobody would reach Bumpy during recovery. Nobody would finish what Red Malone started. Sunday, October 5th, 1952. Morning newspapers broke the story. The Daily News. Hell's Kitchen Massacre. 49 dead in coordinated gang attacks. Front page. Full coverage. Details of 5 locations. Timeline of attacks. Police response. The New York Times. Unprecedented gang violence strikes Manhattan. Page 3. More measured coverage. Historical context. Comparison to previous gang wars. The Amsterdam News in Harlem. Harlem organization responds to attack on leader. Page 1. Different angle. Community perspective. Self-defense. Narrative. The articles detailed casualties. Named some victims. Red Malone identified. Known gang leader. Criminal history documented. Other victims mostly unidentified initially. Next of kin notification pending. The articles describe coordination, simultaneous attacks. Military precision, professional execution, speculation about motive, territorial dispute mentioned, retaliation suggested, but specifics remained unclear. No source confirmed Bumpy Johnson connection, no witness provided detailed descriptions. Investigation remained open, but difficult. Police investigation was extensive. 5 crime scenes. 49 bodies. Hundreds of spent casings collected. Ballistics analysis conducted. Multiple weapons identified. Thompsons, shotguns, pistols, revolvers, professional arsenal. Military grade, but weapons not recovered. No fingerprints, no DNA evidence, 1,952. Forensics were limited. Without weapons, without witnesses, without physical evidence, investigation stalled. Detectives interviewed hundreds of people, Hell's Kitchen residents, bar patrons, neighbors. Nobody saw anything useful. Nobody heard anything specific. Nobody knew anything concrete. Code of silence. Fear of retaliation. Survival instinct. The NYPD formed Special Task Force. 20 detectives assigned full-time investigation. Federal assistance requested. FBI involvement discussed. This was beyond normal gang activity. This was coordinated military operation. This suggested organization, resources, planning, capability. The task force investigated for 6 months, generated thousands of pages of reports, interviewed over 800 witnesses, collected extensive evidence, analyzed patterns, followed leads, achieved nothing, no arrests, no charges, no convictions. The case remained open. Unsolved, 49 homicides, 0 justice through legal system. But justice through other systems had been delivered completely. The West Side Boys ceased to exist. Red Malone was dead. His lieutenants were dead. His soldiers were dead. His infrastructure was destroyed. His operations ended. His territory became available. Other organizations moved in. Italian families expanded. Irish gangs filled vacuum. Power shifted. Territory redistributed. But nobody challenged Harlem. Nobody attempted expansion into Bumpy's territory. Nobody tried what Red Malone tried. The lesson was clear. The message was received. Attacking Bumpy Johnson had consequences. Those consequences were overwhelming, disproportionate total. The story became legend in criminal networks. Not widely publicized, not documented officially, but known, passed through conversations, shared in meetings, remembered in decisions. Bumpy Johnson was thrown off four-story building by white gang from Hell's Kitchen. Survived the fall. Organized complete retaliation within 2 hours. Eliminated entire opposing organization. 49 dead. 4 minutes of shooting. Professional, coordinated, absolute. The story demonstrated capability, demonstrated will, demonstrated that Bumpy Johnson could survive assassination, attempt and still orchestrate massive counterattack within 2 hours while injured. While in pain, while supposedly eliminated, by December 1952, Bumpy had recovered sufficiently to resume operations. Limited mobility. Used cane. Favored right leg, but functional, present, visible. He returned to Harlem publicly, walked into Small's paradise, sat at his usual table, conducted business. The message was clear. Still here, still capable, still in control. The attempt to eliminate him had failed. The gang that attempted it had been eliminated. The mathematics were simple. You attack Bumpy Johnson, you die. Your organization dies. Your legacy dies. Completely. Permanently. Finally. The fall from four-story building left permanent effects. Slight limp remained even after full healing. Cold weather aggravated old injuries. Hips sometimes ached. Shoulder occasionally stiffened, but these were minor inconveniences. Battle scars. Proof of survival. Proof of resilience. Proof that Bumpy Johnson could be hurt, but not broken. Could be attacked, but not defeated. Could be thrown off building and still destroy everyone responsible within 2 hours. Absolutely. Completely. Red Malone's family never recovered his body immediately. Police held it as evidence during investigation. After 6 months, body was released. Family claimed remains small funeral. Private. No publicity. Red was buried in Queens. Cedar Grove Cemetery. Simple headstone. No mention of how he died. No acknowledgement of what he attempted. Just name and dates: Patrick Malone, 1918 to 1952. 34 years old. Died attempting to eliminate competitor. Failed. Paid ultimate price, along with 48 others. The West Side Boy's name disappeared from Hell's Kitchen. Nobody used Italiano, nobody claimed affiliation, nobody wanted association. The organization had been erased. Not just defeated, not just disbanded. Erased like they never existed. New gangs formed, new organizations emerged. Different names, different leaders, different territories, but all learned the same lesson. Don't attack Bumpy Johnson. Don't invade Harlem. Don't attempt elimination, because elimination attempts trigger elimination responses. Massive, coordinated, overwhelming, absolute. Years later, in 1968, a journalist from New York Magazine investigated the Hell's Kitchen massacre, 16 years after events. Interviewed surviving witnesses, reviewed police reports, examined evidence. The article was titled, "The Night Hell's Kitchen Burned." It detailed 5 coordinated attacks, 49 casualties. 4 minutes of violence. The article mentioned Bumpy Johnson by name. Connected the massacre to earlier incident. Man thrown from building in Harlem, same night, 2 hours before massacre. Bumpy Johnson, the connection was clear to anyone paying attention. But article provided no proof, no witness confirmation. No evidence linking. Just strong implication. Strong enough for those who knew. Ambiguous enough to avoid legal liability. The article concluded, the Hell's Kitchen massacre remains officially unsolved. 49 homicides, 0 convictions. But in the streets, everyone knows what happened. Everyone understands why. Attack Harlem. Face consequences. Attack Bumpy Johnson. Face annihilation. The math is simple. The lesson is clear. The message is permanent. Saturday, October 4th, 1952. 8:47 p.m., Bumpy Johnson thrown off 4-story building by members of West Side Boys, White Gang. 8 hours, 47 minutes, and 2 seconds p.m. Bumpy hits concrete. Survives. 9:15 p.m. Marcus Webb arrives. Organization mobilizes. 10:15 p.m. 37 men assembled, arsenal distributed. Targets assigned. 10:45 p.m. Shooting begins. 5 locations simultaneously. 10:49 p.m. Shooting ends. 49 casualties, 0 survivors. 2 hours from assassination attempt to complete organizational annihilation. 2 hours from individual survival to collective elimination of every person involved. 2 hours from being thrown off building to erasing entire gang from existence. That's not revenge. That's Bumpy Johnson, demonstrating that survival isn't enough. That resilience requires response. That attack triggers counterattack, proportional, overwhelming. Final. Red Malone gambled on eliminating Bumpy, removing obstacle, opening Harlem. He lost. He died. His organization died. His 48 men died. 4 minutes of shooting, 2 hours of timeline. Permanent consequences. This is the story they don't tell you in the history books. This is the night. Bumpy Johnson proved that you can throw a man off a building, but you can't throw away his power. You can't throw away his network. You can't throw away his will. And most importantly, you can't throw away the consequences of trying. Subscribe if you want more untold stories of Harlem, more real history, more truth. Because the real legends aren't the ones who never fell. They're the ones who fell, and then made sure everyone who pushed them fell harder.